Hi, my name is Tomasz and you're watching Casual DIY channel. Today I want to make a jig for my router table. The jig will be dedicated to smaller items that otherwise it would be a little bit unsafe to actually cut on the router table. Plus it hopefully will give better results and cleaner cuts as well. But hey, let's get started. The first thing we need to sort out is the base itself. As you can see, I'm using my table saw to rip down a piece of plywood sheet that's 6mm in thickness to 20cm wide. After that, we're heading to my miter station to cut it to the correct length. In my case, it's got to be 45cm. Now it's time to cut out the rest of the parts for our jig. Now, if you've got 18mm plywood, go for that. I would definitely recommend it. However, unfortunately I don't. I've got a particle bolt that I'm going to use instead. But yeah, it's obviously not ideal. If you've got plywood, go for that. Now with my bandsaw, I'm just going to cut out a special shape and let's say the fence of this whole jig, something that will be riding along or against our router table fence. However, the whole jig can be used without a fence. If you've got a bearing guided bit, you can use that as well. But if you do have a nice router table fence and you want to use that, this feature is for that. Well, you'll have a look how it all works later on in the video. Right then, I've got all the pieces cut to the right sizes. Now it's time to make some channels for the T-bolts in here. I'm gonna have that as removable option as well. These two pieces will be glued in and screwed in. So yeah, let's go to the router table and I'm going to show you how we're going to cut those slots. And I will have a cut list for you so you don't have to worry about that with all the dimensions. To cut the channel in the middle of these pieces, I've set up two stop blocks, so this will help me in establishing the start position and the end position. And with each pass, I'm going to raise the router bit. In my case, it's a 6mm straight bit, and that's the size of the bolt I've got. Okay, now it's time to install the hardware. The bolts I'm going to be using are T-bolts, just because the heads are really thin. And as you remember, this is 6mm plywood, and the head itself, that's a thickness of 2.5mm. Okay, so I'm going to use a Forstner bit to create a groove, so that will sit flush with the base of the plywood sheet. After that, I'm going to use a 6mm drill bit to drill the hole through so the bolt can get through, and I'll secure it with some CA glue as well. Now it's time for the two little blocks. This one is already glued in with some CA glue and an activator, and we're gonna do the same thing with this one. However, in this case, it needs to stick out about 1.5cm past the base of the plywood. So that will become our new fence. But you will see how that works a bit later on. Right then, so let's add a bit of CA glue to this block. And now the activator. And let's glue that on. Now I'm going to leave that for a few seconds, and after that I'm going to reinforce it with some screws. Okay, let's install the toggle clamps. Okay then, and as you can see, the jig is now ready. I've added some edge banding to these, so you know the sliding motion is a little bit better on the fence. Okay, so let's try this out. Obviously we've got two ways of clamping this. I've got this piece of pine. We can clamp it from the top, then make sure that these are in place. Now the piece is nice and stable, it's not gonna go anywhere, and that's exactly what we want. These will ride along the fence. Now, for example, if you don't want these notches to be here, to be supporting your work on the fence for whatever reason, you can just take it out, just like that, flip it the other way around. You still got the clamping from both sides, however the notch is out of the way, and you've got just the workpiece there to support you. Okay, let's give it a spin. And there you go. A nice profile on a piece of work, nice and stable, and your fingers are way away from the danger zone. The next thing you can do with this jig is on the other side of it, okay, just in here. So if you've got a long and narrow pieces that you want to put some style on the end, or actually make a tenon with it. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. So what we need to do, we need to get the jig ready. So remember, we've got one notch over here that will be riding against the fence. Again, you don't have to use it, you can use just a bit with a guided bearing. Now, this bit over here needs to be at the same distance. So as you remember, we've done it at 1.5 centimeters. So over here, we're going to set it up to the same. Just like that. Now we're going to move the middle bar to the new position. So we're just going to flip it over. So we've got nice and stable clamping facility. Now what we need to do, we need to have some sort of a sacrificial piece that will go first, like that. Then our main piece. So we're going to have nice and crisp cut without any tear out. Got these two blocks to make sure the pieces will not move. Now we can clamp it down with the toggle clamps. That's what we've got two. One is for the main piece and the other one is for the sacrificial piece. So everything's nicely tight. Let's run it through the router table. And there you go, perfect tenon. And there you go guys, nice and simple jig that I bet it will come in handy in many scenarios, even for the tenoning bit. I think that's very, very helpful. And as you can see, it's super easy to make as well. Now I hope this will be handy and helpful in your workshops as well, keeping those fingers away from the spinning blade. If you enjoyed today's video, drop me that like button down below. And if you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to my channel as well. However, I also want to tell you that I've got plenty more cool videos on my channel. I created some really cool playlists just for you. They're over here, so you can go and have a look. Maybe something will pique your interest. And hopefully, I'll see you on those videos there. Take care.